Welcome to Winsight Live. Thank you for joining us. We've got a lot to get to today, from Publix Q2 earnings to a major acquisition in the C-Store channel. So I'm going to kick it right over to my colleague, Kat Martin in Chicago, who's got the latest on Trader Joe's product labeling.
So, Jen, I'm not sure what happened with Kat. Maybe she froze. She froze, but she told us right before we went on that I've got some great news. That, a couple weeks ago, I was complaining about this whole idea of Trader Joe's changing all their packaging and what was going to happen as a result of that. And I was very sad that my Uncle Giuseppe or Giovanni's Pizza wasn't going to be around. Well, Kat told me this morning that they've scrapped those plans. Mike not only has supermarkets, but they've got C-stores. So we'll really be able to get an in-depth discussion about that, and also to be able to get his take on what Brett is been talking about for weeks and weeks, and going to continue to talk about right now, which is all about consolidation. So Brett, what's the latest announcement?
Yeah, massive news in the convenience store industry, and I spoke about this a couple weeks ago. Couche-Tard was the front runner to acquire Speedway, but news broke yesterday morning that 7-Eleven Inc. has acquired Speedway for $21 billion, and this acquisition includes all 3,900 Speedway convenience stores in 35 states across the country. It is 7-Eleven's largest acquisition in their history. It includes a 15-year fuel supply agreement, and the deal is expected to close in the first quarter of 2021. So massive, massive news.
So we'll get from Mike next week what the implications are for him and for others. But what do you think, the big picture?
And so both Marathon and 7-Eleven actually offered some rationale for the sale and for the agreement. So on Marathon stock, sorry, say that again.
Money.
well, of course, money. But obviously, that 21 billion deal is huge for Marathon's shareholders, and it was a 100% cash agreement as well, which is big. But also the long-term relationship drives some value for both of these companies as well, and that was something that Marathon pointed to. On 7-Eleven's end, it was all about growth and diversification for their portfolio. There was actually a little overlap. So since now 7-Eleven has about 14,000 stores in the United States and Canada, which is pretty big, to say the least. So now 7-Eleven is going to have presence in 47 of the top 50 most populated states in the country. Obviously, they said they want to do it to strengthen their financial profile. But to your last point, Phil, about even suppliers, both brands can share practices on the different products and promotions they have based on consumer demand. Maximizing everything they have with their relationships with vendors and business partners. It's just going to, I think, strengthen both brands even more. And this deal is just, it's really massive. As I said shortly before we started, in my short time covering the C-store industry, it's the biggest deal I've seen.
So, Kat, glad to have you back.
Sorry,
I stole your Trader Joe's story.
Okay, that's fine.
Jen would not let me steal your mask story. So give us that.
Well, the mask story is, I had mentioned right before we popped on here, I had just read an article that was comparing the 19 now going on and people didn't wear masks. They thought it was, a violation of their rights. So I just found it very interesting that nothing has changed much in 100 years. And oddly enough, also the timeline is very similar. So we will see how 55,000 deaths from Spanish flu. So fingers crossed we don't get there from COVID-19.
And our population is, 10, 20 times more than that.
Yep.
Hey, Jen, what's going on at Publix?
Actually, Kat did that story.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're gonna hear.
their earnings, and what Kat and I both thought was really interesting, very strong earnings for Q2, but they attributed it to the pandemic, and we hadn't really seen a retailer come out and say specifically, this is how much money we've made.
Yeah, they said about in Q2, so that ended June 27th. So it encompasses from March 27th-ish to June 27th. So, right, am I doing math right, or is it April? No, March. I think I lost you guys again.
No, we still have you.
Okay, you were frozen. You all were like so still that I'm like, oh no. But they attributed $1.5 billion of sales in Q2 just to the pandemic, which was 16% of their.
I guess my question to both you, Kat, and to Jen is, what happens with all this money? So we're looking at the UFCW saying we need more hazard pay, increased salaries, increased benefits. The retailers are pushing back a bit on that. We've seen additional costs, as we've talked about before. But what happens to that 1.5 billion at Publix? Do they reinvest it in the stores? Do they start paying their employees more? Because let's not forget, and I was on a call with a major retailer in North America this morning who were saying that they've got 10 issues that they're addressing because of COVID-19. And number 2 is how they can operate a store. The person told me that, hey, it used to be we want to pack people in as tight as possible. We want them to discover. We want them to walk around the store. We want them to stay in the store forever. Now they want to get them out of the store as quickly as possible because that's what customers want. So what does Publix and all these other retailers who have similar profits start doing with this money?
Well, I think, we've talked about it before. There's so much that they do need to invest in. I mean, labor for one, more labor because, self-serve everything has gone out the window. So you need, staff to man the hot bar, the salad bar, if they're going to bring any of that back. Online delivery, pickup, all of that is, they're heavily investing in that because that's, the future, a big part of it. A very different landscape for grocery moving out of COVID.
And we really haven't seen a blueprint for that yet. I mean, with the Albertsons IPO, we got a glimpse of what Albertsons Safeway is doing, but we really haven't seen, much. But we are seeing a return back to normal of certain things. And I got to throw it back to Kat. Let's talk about what's going on. I mean, here in California, they're not charging for bags. At checkout, you can't bring your own reusable bags yet. Give us an update of what's going on.
I think Kat is frozen.
Kat froze again. So Jen, what's going on in the bag situation?
Right. So Kat did a story yesterday on Price Chopper has reinstituted the plastic, which had been on hold since the pandemic, but interesting to see kind of, is this a sign of somewhat of a return to more nudging closer to normal if we can no longer use plastic bags? I know, we've talked about it before that, that means packaging in a box and, it's so interesting to see if more grocers start to, jump on this bandwagon and start banning bags again. Sorry, Kat.
No, I'm sorry. I'm having huge issues today, and I don't know why.
It's because,
but it shouldn't affect it.
It's because you were complaining that you now have to pay 7 cents for a bag at Target.
Yes, I do.
Target is reaching out to you.
They snuck it up on me. They did. Away for 3 months, and so I'm like, great. And now I go, and then I had 10 bags in my car. Had I known.
Yeah, and they're not letting you, bring bags into the store and make them reusable as well.
They are now.
Oh, okay.
You still have to at least this. Yeah, so you can bring them in, pack them yourselves. Otherwise, you do have to pay the 7 cents again.
So Jen, we had a sad anniversary Talk to us about that.
We did. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the Cielo Vista El Paso shooting at the Walmart store. And, you know, we were talking, you know, just how has it been a year already with just everything that's happened. It's, you know, a very sad occasion. So yesterday, Walmart delayed the reopening of that store to hold a memorial. They've built a memorial there with 23 plaques honoring the 23 people who died. You know, another 23 were wounded that day. And it's, you know, that was a pivotal to revisit their gun laws, and they ultimately asked shoppers not to carry firearms when shopping at Walmart, which was kind of a big deal for Walmart because they've sold guns in the past. And I just think, you know, it seemed particularly poignant now that grocery workers are increasingly fearful of their safety around the whole mask issue. He asked a shopper to put on a mask, and then most recently in New York, some Trader Joe's employees were attacked for asking shoppers to wear masks. And it's just, you know, it just keeps escalating, and it's scary for grocery workers and the industry.
So John is on vacation this week, but hopefully he's watching. But it's what John said: don't go to the store. You know, it's real simple. You know, I remember when airplanes, you know, stopped people to allow smoking on airplanes. And, you know, the bottom line is you had people complaining. I remember being on a plane with somebody behind me who was complaining to the flight attendant that, you know, they should be allowed to smoke. And she just, you know, if that's the rules, either buy online, buy through Amazon, go to a store that doesn't allow masks, move to a different country that doesn't allow masks. I don't care what you do, but it's not appropriate to be attacking store managers or store employees about this mask issue. It's just downright dumb and stupid. So, not that I have an opinion.
And to that point too, you know, for the most part, I think grocery workers have handled it very well, but we all have our breaking point, you know, and we've seen some cases of grocery workers having their breaking point. You know, I think it was last week or the week before, the Ralph's employee who pepper sprayed a customer for after she asked them to put on a mask. So, I mean, everybody has a breaking point.
At least temporarily, the restaurants to do is they've taken away some of the street, they put up barricades, so now the restaurants can allow people to eat outside. So over the weekend, I went to a local pizza thing, and they have tables, and they had music, and there's signs all over the place that says, please reserve seating for our customers only. So a couple, an older couple, you know, sit down, older 60-ish, sit down. They brought their own sandwiches. They brought their own beverages. They weren't wearing a mask. The waiter had to come over and say to them, I'm sorry, this is reserved, you know, just for our customers. And the guy said, well, I want to sit here. It's a public street, and I want to listen to the music. And she just said, okay, and walked away. What's she going to do? Get in a fight with a guy over this? And it's just, you know, stretching to your point, you know, everybody's tensions. We just need to.
Have donated $50,000 to the Fallen Patriots Foundation, which supports scholarships and educational counseling for the children of military personnel who have died in the line of duty.
Very nice. I like Stater Brothers. They're on Supermarket Guru, on Restaurant Business. And also, again, just a reminder, you want to make sure you are with us next Tuesday. You want to make sure you're with us on Thursday as well. But next Tuesday, very special guest. Thanks to Jen for pulling this interview off. Mike Fogarty, President and CEO of Choice Market, is going to be with us. He's going to talk about supermarkets. He's going to talk about C-stores. He's going to talk about COVID-19. He's going to talk about the future of retail post COVID-19. So thanks for joining us, and until next week.